This is Cruise Radio.
I cruise a lot, and I always sail with travel insurance. You should, too. Get a free quote today at tripinsurance.com.
Here we go.
Broadcasting from the tripinsurance.com studios in Jacksonville, Florida. This is Cruise Radio.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Doug Parker. Thank you so much for checking out this episode of Cruise Radio. Very happy to have you here, my friend. Coming up on this week's show, a review of Sky Princess and staff writer Richard Sims on deck with cruise news. Jumping to him right now. Hey, Richard.
Hey, Doug.
So we start things off with an update on the situation in Mexico.
Yeah, and please keep in mind that as we record this, we've got the latest information, but it could change at any moment because the situation in Mexico has obviously been quite fluid. Ever since the head of a cartel was taken out, there's been massive violence in the area, and it caused a lot of fear among potential tourists, and not to mention those who were there. The U.S. Embassy issued basically a stay-in-place order. Things have slowly but surely started returning to normal. Flights are resuming in and out once again, but at least one cruise line is operating in what's the term we always use? In an abundance of caution. Mm-hmm. Carnival Cruise Line has said that they're going to be skipping Puerto Vallarta for the foreseeable future. That could mean 1 week, it could mean 6 weeks. Honestly, I don't think they'll be the only one to make a decision like this. I think the cruise lines are going to definitely want to wait until they know that the situation is stable and that the area is safe, at least as safe as it can be. It could be fine for 6 months and then explode again. But right now, the only cruise line we're aware of that has made sort of, I don't know if you can call them long-term plans, but for the next few weeks is Carnival, and they are stopping, as we said, they're going to be skipping Puerto Vallarta for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and the cruise lines, of course, taking this sailing by sailing or case by case, so they're not actually being proactive in telling us, as in like you or I. We're getting this from listeners who are emailing their correspondence into our tip line there, so just keep that in mind as well. So this is a very fluid situation.
Honestly, that is a great source of information for us, because with so many cruise lines that make decisions at the last minute or do things that they may not necessarily put out into the universe, the tip line is, if you have a story, send it in, because it really helps keep your fellow cruisers informed.
Yeah, and a lawsuit has been filed against Princess Cruises by a woman that, does it say tripped on a ribbon?
She did. She did. According to passenger Lucy Giro, she was exiting the main dining room aboard the Ruby Princess when she tripped on ribbons that were left on the floor by members of the crew. I'm assuming when she says ribbons, maybe there was some kind of birthday party or some sort of celebration and they had some ribbons. She says that it was a combination of inadequate lighting and the venue's carpet pattern that sort of combined to prevent her from being able to see where she was walking, I guess. She also blames the crew for not having either promptly taken care of this and cleaned up the ribbons, or at least had someone, I guess, stationed to point people around. As a result, she says that she was left with a torn meniscus, which required surgery, and it left her with mobility issues. So this has been filed and is heading to court. We'll follow it up as we get details.
And speaking of legal matters, a former Norwegian Cruise Line employee has been arrested for allegedly scamming the company out of a lot of money.
Yeah, a whole lot. We're talking in the range of $2 million. So this has been going on for a while. Back in at least October, Thomas Markwell was charged with numerous counts of wire and identity fraud, which took place over the course of about 2 years. Markwell was serving as a senior director for Norwegian Cruise Line, and it seems that he and two co-conspirators who worked, it's a little unclear. It seems like they worked in some kind of place that Norwegian often ordered large gift packages from. Like if you're putting together, say, you need 8,000 magnets because you're going to give them to all of your executives or whatever. This was the place that the other people worked at, and he worked directly for the cruise line. So what's being said is that they allegedly, and we're going to use that word a lot here for legal reasons, but they allegedly cooked up a scheme in which false invoices were filed. According to a St. Louis magazine published back in October, the scam was not particularly sophisticated. In some cases, the invoices were flat out faked. In others, they marked up the prices being charged and then pocketed the difference. For example, at one point, Markwell ordered from these distributors $336,000 worth of backpacks on behalf of the cruise line. But his partners, when they filed the invoice, filed it for $500,000. And then the three of them allegedly divided up the loot that was, the difference between the 336 and 500,000. And the whole thing is super messy in several ways. For example, Markwell's alleged partners in this scheme were in a romantic relationship, but one of them was married to somebody else. In any case, Markwell kind of went on the lam, but as of this week, it looks like he has been arrested. He was found in Buenos Aires. I read something somewhere saying that basically people kind of knew, if he decided to run away for any reason whatsoever, that's where he would go. So I guess the police went there and they found him and arrested him, and he will be facing charges on these allegations.
Man, this sounds like a plot from a soap opera.
Right, doesn't it?
Yeah, big time. And Carnival's brand ambassador, John Heald, revealed that he got himself into a little bit of trouble, and as a result, the company had to make a change.
Yeah, so we talk about John on this show a lot, so most people know, he's the brand ambassador for Carnival. He does a lot of interacting on Facebook. But what some people don't know is one of the things he does is use his Facebook page to help people celebrate special occasions like, birthdays, anniversaries. Recently, he received a message from someone who had friends sailing on a Carnival ship. The person who contacted John was not sailing, but asked if maybe John could send something special to his friends who were celebrating, I think it was a retirement. So John arranged, as he often does, to have a bottle of champagne sent. But because he had the wrong room number, apparently he was given the wrong room number, the champagne was instead delivered to a room that had 2 children in it. This apparently turned into an entire brouhaha, which, by the way, is a great word that we don't use nearly enough in the world. But it turned into a giant brouhaha. And as a result, while John will continue doing his best to send gifts to those celebrating special occasions, he won't be able to honor third-party requests. In other words, if you aren't the person sailing, he won't be able to send your friends something on your behalf. So he will still be doing, the gifts and the, various things that he sends to people. Although he did reveal, and I thought this was interesting, that he has a limited budget. He gets a certain budget for each ship, apparently. And also, and this shouldn't surprise me because people are awful, but apparently in some Facebook groups, people say things like, hey, even if it's not your anniversary, post something on John's page telling him that it is, and you'll get a free bottle of champagne. I mean, nothing against the free champagne, but it's not like it's, top-notch champagne. Really, just buy the drink package.
Yeah, it's like carbonated horse pee. That's how it's like $3 a bottle.
I did not say that. You did.
But this is the thing too, Richard. You would think that there would be, and I don't know how much of the story you got into here, but there would be guardrails set up where you couldn't send a bottle of champagne to a stateroom with kids.
Yeah, that kind of confused me as well, because we all know that Carnival, in fact, I think it was Carnival that just in the last couple of months put new rules in place saying, was that Carnival or was that Norwegian? So I'm a little confused as to how it all came down, but the point of what the fallout was remains the same.
And good news for folks scheduled to sail over in Europe on Celebrity Infinity.
Yeah, it looks like the ship is finally ready to sail. Listeners will recall that a few weeks ago, the Celebrity Infinity had a small fire on board, led to an electricity being knocked out, and the ship it was dead in the water and had to be towed to Greece. It's been there ever since, undergoing repairs. I don't think they ever exactly said what the problem was, but it seems like they fixed it, because as we record this, the ship is set to sail tomorrow. Fingers crossed that next week we won't be doing a follow-up saying, that didn't actually happen. But as of now, it's supposed to. Hopefully, as you're listening to this, if you're on the Celebrity Infinity, you are sailing.
Yeah, as of a couple of hours ago, the Coast Guard over there said that it was a faulty electrical panel that caused all this.
Okay, so now we know,
Mhm.
faulty electrical panel. I mean, it seemed from the start that it had to be some sort of electrical fire. We knew it was a small fire, but it really kind of goes to show how much damage something like that can cause, because, it's not like this was a major fire that knocked all the power out. It was a pretty small fire from all reports. So,
Well, yeah, and they didn't actually, to be fair, the Coast Guard didn't use the word fire, but typically you put two and two together
Right.
and you smell the electrical smell. Where there's smoke, there's fire kind of thing. So let's see. And finally, people who love playing the lottery will be very excited about Carnival's new way to separate them from their discretionary income.
They certainly will, because it is, well, a lottery called, appropriately enough, Carnival Millions. So this is similar in some ways to what we've seen on various ships for years. Like if you're ever hanging out in the casino, there will be, the casino employees wandering around with tickets, and they'll say, "Hey, do you want to buy a ticket in the $1 million lottery or whatever it is?" It's often much higher than that. Well, Carnival is sort of doing something a little bit different. They are going to do a daily drawing with all of the ships in their fleet. So no matter what ship you're on, if you buy a ticket, you are entered into this overall giant lottery. One of the things I'm not clear on is if somebody doesn't win, because a lot of times, people, the winning number isn't chosen. If somebody doesn't win, does that money roll over? That's a question that we're still trying to get an answer to. We don't know that. But what's a little bit different here is that you can buy tickets on the Carnival Hub app. We'll have to see if that eliminates the need for those casino employees I was talking about wandering around and interrupting you every 2 seconds to see if you want to buy a lottery ticket. But the other cool thing is, because it's going through the app, you can also buy tickets for that day or for every day of your cruise. So if you're on a 7-day cruise, you can go in the casino. Well, you don't have to go in the casino. You can just go on the app, and on day one, buy tickets for every day during the week. You cannot buy tickets if you're not cruising. It's only, you can only buy them through the app. So you have to be on a Carnival cruise ship in order to do that. I actually like that this also gives them the ability to, when the winners are drawn, they can notify the winners, especially of the major prizes, via the app, because I can't tell you how many times I've bought those stupid lottery tickets in the casino, and then I forget to go back to the casino and check them. And 2 weeks later, I'm home and I find them in my pocket after they've just gone through the laundry. So the fact that Carnival can actually let the winners know immediately and through the hub, I kind of like that.
Slippery slope there, man. Doing all that stuff in the app. They're going to have to find probably a better way for the accounting and account settlements, because on the last day of the cruise, sometimes there's those people whose their cards sometimes don't clear and they have to sign a promissory note. I can see if someone's doing a little chasing on the cruise, as in chasing the jackpot, they could have some issues. So yeah.
Well, there's other questions as well. Like I said, I want to know, does the money roll over? If it doesn't roll over, does that mean that Carnival pockets, like let's say they take in $1.6 million a day and you don't win today, but they're starting again tomorrow because the money doesn't roll over. I'm saying if the money doesn't roll over, does that mean this is a money-making machine for them and they get however much money every single day? Or does it continue to roll over and get bigger and bigger? I have a feeling it's the former, but we are going to get an answer to that, and we will update you in the next episode.
For sure. And our listener question comes from Marshall in Austin, Texas. You can email your questions in comments at cruiseradio.net. He writes, I'm going on my first cruise next month, and I enjoy gambling. Speaking of, I know Richard spends time in the onboard casino, so I'm wondering if he had any pointers to share.
My goodness, I seem to have a bit of a reputation when it comes to the casinos. Well, the best advice you can ever give about going to the casino is don't go. The second best advice is only take what you can afford to lose. Don't let yourself go crazy. Don't let yourself borrow money. But here's my favorite tip. Every time I go to a casino, if I put $20 in and it gets up to $100, I cash that ticket out and put it in my safe. And then I'll put fresh money in. That means no matter what, I'm going home with that 100 because I keep my tickets all week. And then on the very last day, I go and I cash them in. And so by doing this, you're assuring that, now look, do I think that this means you're going to go home with more money than you came? Probably not. But in my eyes, if you bring $500 and you go home with $100 because you kept it in the safe, you won. They didn't get all your money. So again, just whenever you hit anything that sort of doubles, triples, or more your money, take that out. Put that ticket in your safe. Doesn't mean you have to stop gambling for the day. Although I also do suggest setting a daily budget and don't go over it. If your budget is $200 a day, don't let yourself say, well, I'm going to borrow $100 from tomorrow. No, when you hit that $200 wall, go get a drink, go see a show, go to sleep. But at the end of the week, you do this and you're going to go home with at least something. It may not be more than you came with, and it may not be a lot, but you'll feel better for having something that you get to take home.
I was cracking up on one of our sailings. I think it was Virgin, where you handed the cashier like 20 something vouchers. And she's like, why didn't you just put this in a machine and get just one voucher? And you're like, oh, I could have done that.
I didn't even think about it. The other thing that's funny is I have on more than one occasion, if I'm in the casino and I've been having some drinks, as I've also been known to do, and I hit something decent, I'll give that coupon to someone. I think I did this to you once. I give them the coupon and I say, do not give this to me no matter what. Give it to me tomorrow so I can put it in my safe. Then like an hour later after another cocktail, I'll be begging them. Like, come on, I know I didn't mean it. Give it to me. And you were very good. You did not give it to me.
Staff writer Richard Sims, as always, thank you, man.
As always, glad to be here.
The world is constantly changing. Your place for news is still the same. Online and on demand at cruiseradio.net.
A big question we get at Cruise Radio is, how do I know if I need trip insurance? Simple answer. If you're getting on a plane, taking a road trip, or getting on a cruise ship, you need to have travel insurance. Hey, it's Doug Parker from my friends at tripinsurance.com. Not only does tripinsurance.com protect your vacation investment, but it also gives you peace of mind in case anything were to go wrong on your trip. How do they do it? They offer 3 different types of trip insurance policies. Good, better, and best. One policy for every vacation budget. But it doesn't just stop there. They're up to 40% lower when you shop around on other comparison sites. Plus, tripinsurance.com offers 24-hour customer support before, during, and after your trip, online claims assistance, and travel alerts to let you know what's going on at your destination. But find out for yourself. Check out tripinsurance.com.
Have a tip or a lead on a news story? Let us know. Email tips@cruiseradio.net.
Jeff just returned from a 14-night cruise, the Land of the Midnight Sun itinerary on Princess Cruises' Sky Princess out of Southampton. Round trip for 14 nights, and he's here to talk all about it. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear about this. What such a bucket list experience, this cruise. So before we actually leave the US and head over to Europe, let's take a step back. Give me some pre-cruise thoughts. What made you want to take this 14-night itinerary northbound?
Yeah, this was a total bucket list cruise for us. We've been hearing stories. I don't know how true they are, but the laws are possibly changing in Norway around the emissions on the ships and being able to go into some of these fjords. And so we decided we better do it before things change. And again, I don't know what the actual status is of that, but we decided that 2024 was going to be our year. And we're really glad that we did.
You're in California, Northern California, and you make your way over to England. How was the flight and any pre-cruise time in Southampton before you boarded the ship?
Actually, we did. We actually had a full week ahead of time, and we arrived London and spent a week driving around Scotland before we headed back to Southampton to embark on the 15th of June.
What was that like?
Aside from driving on the wrong side of the car and the wrong side of the road. Interesting. The rental car company gives you a little yellow band that you put around your left wrist that says keep left. It definitely took some getting used to, but we did get used to it. It was an interesting experience. We spent the night in London, and then we took the train up to Edinburgh. And the train we were on just happened to be full of Taylor Swift fans heading to the concert in Edinburgh. So a very interesting experience. But we didn't stay in Edinburgh. Obviously, hotel rooms that night were very expensive. So we just began by getting a car and we started driving, and we made a big loop of Scotland. We went all the way up through the Highlands to Inverness and then back down to Edinburgh for a few days. And we caught a small plane directly to Southampton from
Nice.
Edinburgh. So that was wonderful. We didn't have to worry about transferring from London back down to Southampton before we got on the cruise. So we got a whole day in Southampton beforehand, spent the night there and embarked the next day.
Good call, skipping Heathrow there. Also Gatwick, but I guess you get your steps in at Heathrow. I'll give them that much.
Definitely. And summer in Heathrow is just known for being crazy. So definitely recommend giving yourself at least an extra day when you're going through there.
You make your way down to Southampton. How was the embarkation process onto Sky Princess, and how long did it take you from the curb to the ship?
It was actually very, very well done, a very easy check-in. We did have a little hiccup, even though we were green lane check-in with Princess. When we went to check-in, they actually showed my sister and brother-in-law, who were also on the cruise but had a separate cabin. They actually showed us on the same room. So it took them a few minutes, but they were really efficient, got that fixed, and we were on, even with that, probably half hour, 45 minutes, very, very, very quick.
Was it a full sailing?
It was full sailing. They told us, I think, 3,600, which is pretty close to 100%. It wasn't way over, but it was pretty full.
Before I get your first impressions of Sky Princess, one, have you sailed it before or this class of ship with Princess?
Yes, quite a bit. We love the Royal class. We've been on the Sky several times, including most recently in the Caribbean last December. So it was very familiar to us.
So I guess it'd be like a kind of a coming home feeling walking on board then.
There's always that feeling, thankfully, whenever we get back on Princess. I love that feeling.
For someone who has never sailed a Royal class ship with Princess, what could they expect walking on for the first time, or what did you expect your first time?
Yeah, the piazza is just the central part of the ship, obviously. It's where you're entering and exiting from. In Southampton, you actually don't come in down below and have to come up. You're coming in right in the piazza. And the first thing you see is just this soaring ceiling of multiple deck levels. You see all of the activities that are going on around there. And it's just, for me, having sailed so many times, it does feel like a homecoming of sorts. As we come in, we're here again. There's a comfort and a familiarity, which I think is really nice. And Princess does that, has a good feeling like that among all of their ships. They're very similar. So there's a continuity.
You make your way to your stateroom. What kind of stateroom did you have on this 14-night cruise, and how was it throughout your 14 nights?
Yeah, this trip we had a mini suite, and our mini suite was up on the Riviera deck, which we chose purposely because it's high enough up, and we were located under the seawalk, which extends outward up 2 decks above of where we were. And the thought process there, and this actually played out pretty well, was that we'd have a little bit of rain protection if it was raining when we were on the balcony. And it did turn out there was a couple of days of rain where we were able to be on the balcony and not get wet, which was really nice.
So you were sheltered by the seawalk that protrudes outward from the Lido deck there?
That's correct. Okay. It hangs over the rooms where we were. And I was a little nervous at first because the seawalk, actually, the part that hangs over the ship, has a glass floor in it, and you can look down when you're walking in it. And I was a little concerned that, it might infringe a little bit on our privacy, but because of the angle, when you're way up high like that, you're under it, but people can't see your balcony from the seawalk up there. So it turned out to be just fine from a privacy perspective. And I feel like it gave us a little bit of weather protection Thankfully, we didn't have any really, really bad rainy days, but it did give us a little bit of protection, which was nice.
How about the layout of the cabin? I know that Princess is kind of doing away with their little, we'll call it a walk-in closet on their newer Sun class ships, but how was your cabin on this one?
Yeah, cabin was great. We love the older and older. I mean, the Royal class and the Sky, for that matter, they're not that old, but I love the walk-in closet area that Princess has. Just the overall storage in the rooms, and the mini suites are absolutely great because you get a full triple seater couch area with a separate TV, lots of storage in the room, and lots of room to really spread out. You also get a bathtub. Now, I know they're also doing away with that on the Sun class as well, and that's a little controversial for me. I think I'm going to stick with my familiar Royal class ships for a while. We'll let everybody else enjoy the hype, and we'll enjoy what we're used to and what we like. But their mini suite cabins are absolutely just perfect.
Now, with a mini suite cabin, do you get extra amenities, or is it just more space?
It's just more space. The amenities are tied to loyalty level, and we are elite with Princess, which means we've got more than 15 sailings with them. This was actually our number 33 with Princess. So we're really familiar with the product.
Yeah, I would say so. So let's talk about the food, the buffet. What do they call it on there? Is it the World Market?
It's the World Market, World Marketplace, I think.
That's it.
Yeah, it's the buffet. It's divided really into two sort of subsections. There's sort of a bakery area up in the front that's a little more breads and lighter fare, and then there's two lanes towards the back that are the full-on buffet area, and there's a salad area that connects the two. I do like the layout of the World Marketplace. Obviously bigger ships, so sometimes it's busy in there. It can be tough to get a table, but you usually can do that. And the space in there as you're kind of navigating the different buffets, it's almost duplicated at busy times. So you do have enough space for the crowds that are in there.
Did you find there to be enough seating both on the port and starboard side in the buffet area?
Most of the times there is. If you're there at peak times or on a sea day, if you're coming in for like a brunch or a late lunch, it definitely gets busy. So yeah, I would love if there was more seating, but I can't say that we ever had a time where we couldn't get a seat. We would have to maybe work at it a little bit or walk further forward or aft to try to find a space, maybe even cross over to the other side. But we could usually find a space, and it was never really a problem.
And then with that class of ship, if I'm not mistaken, if you're coming out of the buffet area, there's also like seating by the pool, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a covered area in there kind of on the way, the transition from the buffet entrance over to the pool area. There are tables out there as well. So yeah, there's overflow there. And I believe there might even be some overflow in the rear, in the aft out towards, I think they call it the Seaview Bar back there. I think there's even some tables out there, if I'm remembering it correctly.
Yeah, there was on Discovery Princess, so I'm sure there probably is out there as well. Out by the pool, let's jump in there then. You have a couple of different dining venues. How was the food selections out there? And what is it? Is it a burger and pizza out there by the pool? Yeah,
there's the pizza place in Princess. From time to time, I know they go back and forth, but they're often rated the best pizza at sea. It's included, the pizza there. It's not the casual dining Alfredo's and Gigi option. This is the included pizza. Very good pizza. The burger place also has loaded fries now, and they also do some really good street tacos. So really good place to go and just grab something kind of quick. There's some tables out there, and there's even the bar there right in between the two. So you've got bar service and food right there.
and the main dining room. How does Princess do that these days? Or is there still a set dining in any time, or is it just one or the other now?
Yeah, that is changing from what I understand. I just got notified that for future cruises, there's generally 3 dining rooms. On the Sky, there's 3 dining rooms. And they were all sort of reservations through the app, the Dine My Way service. So we had made reservations for the same time every night in one of the dining rooms. And so we would turn up and they would seat us. And generally what they do is they seat you wherever there's room. You may remember the old traditional dining where you have the same waiters and the same table each time. It's been difficult since they implemented the Dine My Way, to reserve sort of the same table and the same staff every night. So what we've been doing is typically we'll go in for a night or two, and if we get a good staff that we really enjoyed, we would ask if we could stay with them for the rest of the cruise. And that's exactly what happened on this trip. We got a fantastic waiter and assistant waiter on the second or third night, I think. And they basically, they shifted around a little and they said, if you guys can, instead of 7:00, come at 7:30, you can have this table and that staff the entire rest of the cruise. And that's exactly what we did. And they were fantastic. We loved having the continuity. They knew what we liked. They were fantastic with service. And of course, the food in the main dining rooms, a bit debated lately, post-pandemic, things are a little different. They're not quite as big servings, which I guess that's not a bad thing with the amount of food they give you. But we've been very happy with the food quality as well as just the overall experience in the dining rooms, especially when you get a good team taking care of you.
Are the menus the same in the main dining room in Europe as they would be in the Caribbean, or do they lean more into the local fare?
I think overall it's very similar. It's very familiar. Those of us who cruise a lot, even multiple times a year, we kind of know the menus. You get to know it. I mean, they do change it up from time to time, but there's certain parts of the menu. For example, they have a section where they have those options every single night, regardless. So if you're looking at the custom orders for the night, the different appetizers and mains, and you don't like something there's usually something in that every night, the consistent menu, things like French onion soup and other more standard things that you can choose from. So, I don't find that it's significantly different. At least to me, it seems to be pretty similar. We sell regularly from Fort Lauderdale and also from the West Coast since we live out here. And I find the menus to be pretty consistent.
I know with you being very high up with Princess there, 30 plus cruises, you have to have some comped dining or such. So what kind of specialty restaurants did you do on this sailing? And tell us about them.
Yeah, we're actually big fans of the specialty dining. Not that I don't enjoy the main dining room, but I do like, especially on a 14-day cruise, it's nice to kind of mix it up a little bit. We traveled this time with the Princess Premier package, which gave us 2 included specialty dining. And because we had such a great staff in the dining room and we were enjoying the food there, we did only do 2 specialty dinings this time. The first one was new to us. It was the new Catch by Rudy seafood restaurant, which was fantastic. The food was amazing. The presentation is super creative, and just really had a good time. That was our first time experiencing that. We also went to the Crown Grill, the steak restaurant, which we absolutely love as well. And Sabatini's is the Italian restaurant specialty dining that we also really, really enjoy. So we did not do Sabatini's on this trip because we had done it in December, last time we were on the Sky. And interestingly, in December, the Catch by Rudy wasn't open yet. It was still the prior specialty restaurant which was Bistro sur la Mer, which was a French restaurant, which we also really enjoyed. So I think overall that the specialty dining options on Princess, I don't think you can go wrong. I think they're all very good. Obviously, an extra charge unless you have the premier package when you've got two of them. But definitely encourage people to try it, especially if the menu looks interesting to you, because it's wonderful.
I'm curious about your thoughts on the charge now for Alfredo's.
Oh, don't get me started, Doug. I am a big fan of Alfredo's. Alfredo's at embarkation, we literally come on board, and as soon as we can, we go straight to Alfredo's. I love Alfredo's. And it used to be included, obviously, for everybody. At this point, when you get the Princess Premier package, which we had unlimited visits to casual dining, which includes Alfredo's. When I've sailed with Princess Plus, the other option that you get 2 visits per cruise. If you're on a short cruise, 2 visits is really nice. If you're on a 14-day cruise, 2 visits, maybe not so much. So I don't know. I personally would like Princess to reevaluate that option for people with Plus or people without the package, because otherwise I think it's $14.99 for the 3-course meal, which is reasonable. But when you're used to it being unlimited and complimentary, some of us old-time regulars, we get a little crusty about that.
That's fair. So how about the entertainment on this 14-night cruise? How was it?
We enjoy the entertainment on Princess. I spend most of my time listening to music. The music production shows, I think, are pretty good. Although, Princess, I think they're good. I don't think they're as good as some of the other lines. Celebrity and Royal Caribbean, I think, have more bombastic shows. And with the Piazza, they often in the evenings will have performances of music in there. And I'm also a big fan of Good Spirits at Sea Bar, which is a craft cocktail bar where they do shows and show you how to make these specialty cocktails, many of which are absolutely amazing. And so definitely spend some time there. So location-wise, those bars are right on deck 6, right off the Piazza. And very convenient to pop into the casino for a little bit if you want, or to go forward to the theater for the shows. So plenty to do. There's also game shows and things like that. There's bingo during the days on sea days. We didn't really do a lot of those, but I know travel companions with us were doing all of that and enjoyed that as well.
Sounds like entertainment-wise, there was plenty to do to keep you busy for those 14 nights.
Yes, for sure. You wonder on a longer cruise, am I going to get bored? Is it going to be repetitive? And, some of the stuff is similar and familiar, but there's always something new going on. I think the cruise director and staff are really good at keeping people engaged and keeping you having fun. But if you're getting a little tired and you want to sort of just, not be as active, it's great because there's nice little quiet places where you can kind of get away and just kind of read a book or relax as well.
And speaking of relaxing, how were sea days as far as crowds and congestion?
Actually, not too bad. I will admit, when the Royal class came out, we obviously had been cruising and still cruise a lot on the Ruby and the Emerald and the what I'll call now the mid-sized Princess ships. And the thought of 3,000 plus people back at that time was just sort of off-putting a little bit. And I will say that the way those ships are designed, they're designed to handle the additional people. And half the time you don't even realize. Now, sea days in a colder climate like Norway, where people aren't all outside and on the decks as much, it can get a little busy in the Piazza. A lot of people will sort of come to the Piazza and they do demonstrations there. And as I said, there's music there even during the day. But crowds were not really an issue on this trip.
I know there were some issues. I don't know if Princess has corrected these or not yet, but with the cigarette situation or cigarette smoke situation in and around the casino, and maybe making its way out there into the atrium area. How was it on your sailing?
We actually commented several times as we transited through the casino or even popped in there to play some slots that this cruise was probably the least amount of smoke we saw in the casino at all. Absolutely amazing. I don't know why. It was busy. It just wasn't all that bad. I think we just got lucky, to be honest, because it has been an issue. I'm somewhat sensitive to that. And, anywhere near the casino, you usually could smell it. This trip, not so much. So we were very happy about that.
Do they do like a smoking and non-smoking side?
They do. Yeah. They do. And that helps a little in that if you're sitting at a slot machine on the non-smoking side, you don't have somebody right next to you smoking if that bothers you. So that helps a little, but there's still, it can get smoky in there most nights. The other thing that Princess has done is they've done away with the Churchill cigar bar on most of the ships. And that was an area where people would smoke cigars, but also smoke cigarettes. And that would take them out of the casino a little bit. But those are gone now. They're an arcade now. So a video arcade for kids. And so, again, I don't know what impact that was having, but it did not have a negative impact on us on this trip for sure.
It's interesting seeing all these spaces going away to be replaced by revenue-making opportunities.
Absolutely. It's all about the money after the pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely.
John Padgett's he's got a little bit different view than Jan Swartz did for Princess, and that's just the way it's going.
Yeah. No, 100%. So let's talk about this, your itinerary here, the Land of the Midnight Sun itinerary. What we'll do here is, so you leave Southampton. So give us your first port of call, give us the highlight, then you can move to the next one.
Yeah, so we left Southampton on a Saturday. Sunday was a sea day. So right away, after being on the road for a week in Scotland, it was great to get on board and to have a sea day. Just to get caught up, get unpacked, get relaxed. The first port of call was Haugesund. And again, I hope I'm saying these names right. But Haugesund was, again, a small southern coastal town in Norway. And we actually joined a private tour group there that was organized through the Cruise Critic website. We had an amazing Cruise Critic group on this ship. We had over 100 people show up for a meet and greet on the first sea day. So a lot of activity, a lot of people sharing ideas, a lot of small groups formed, and we joined one. So it was a half day tour that took us out to a fishing village and around a beach area. This part of Norway is kind of a summer vacation kind of place for Norwegians. And that was a theme for this whole cruise, actually. Pretty much everywhere we went, Norwegians love the outdoors. And there were lots of campers and people on the road vacationing. And so Haugesund is one of these areas where a lot of campgrounds, a lot of people out in nature. And we had a great half-day tour there in a minibus where we had more of a private experience than, say, 50 people on a big bus, which was nice. We learned a lot. We visited some Viking churches and things like that. So really, really fun time. Great port. Enjoyed it a lot.
Awesome. And what was up next?
Next was Flom, which obviously it's at the head of one of the, actually the first fjord that we went in. Forgive me, I don't remember the name of that one, but you sail in these fjords, which is absolutely stunning. Very high mountains on both sides of you, deep water, so the ships, can go up these fjords. And we sailed up, I want to say it was a couple of hours through most of the fjord to Flom. And in Flom, we did an excursion where we took a bus. This was a Princess excursion. we went on a bus out to a town called Voss. And there was a waterfall stop along the way. Waterfalls are everywhere in Norway and absolutely stunning. So a lot of times you're stopping and taking pictures at the waterfall. So we had a waterfall stop, and then we took the famous Flåmsbana, the Flåm Railway. It's a very steep railway that comes back down to Flåm where the cruise ship was. So we got to ride, through the countryside on the bus, but we also got to take the train back down to Flåm. Again, a must-do if you're in Flåm. Definitely take the railway. It's wonderful.
Love the waterfalls there. Okay, what was up next?
The next stop was interesting. It was the stop was Geiranger, and we got to Geiranger at about noon. But we made a quick stop in the morning at a town called Helslet. And that stop was literally an hour. We pulled up for an hour, pulled onto a dock, and there were some excursions that left from there that were full day excursions where those people left and did a whole day excursion and met us in Geiranger and got back on the ship there. So we got 2 dockings that day, which was kind of cool. I go up on the deck and you watch you coming in, and the first town, Helslet, has a huge waterfall right in the middle of town, just very picturesque and beautiful. And then we sailed around the corner, if you will, to Geiranger, and in Geiranger we took a tour that took us up to the top of Mount Dels Nibba, it was snowing up there. So that's the difference, right? It's pretty high up, and that's where the layering comes in Norway. Definitely want different layers, but absolutely beautiful above the tree line up there. Completely different than down at the fjord level, but great to see as well.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much camping there was here. This is the port when you're coming in, you're passing what is it called? The Seven Sisters waterfall?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Seven Sisters is on the way in there. Mm-hmm. So everybody was running out because the captain, of course, is telling you, we're going to be passing in about a half an hour. So we were all out on the deck. And interestingly, it was absolutely funny because as we were going in the fjord, an AIDA ship was coming out. They must have been in Geiranger for the morning, and they were on their way out. And just as we passed the Seven Sisters, the AIDA ship was right in front of the waterfall. But we still got pictures. It was still good.
So you're making your way northbound. Was that a couple of sea days before you hit the that northern point?
Yes, we had 2 sea days up to the northern point, which was really nice. Again, by then we'd had, several ports in a row. So having 2 sea days was great. Got a little bit of a relaxation. Mm-hmm. Crossed the Arctic Circle on the second day, and we got certificates from the captain that we'd actually crossed the Arctic Circle. And then the next morning, we were in Honningsvåg, which was that fishing village, just really picturesque. Went on a tour there up to the North Cape, which is the northernmost spot, I guess, on the mainland of Europe. Anything further north of there is on an island, they said. The weather was great when we arrived. We went in and watched a 10-minute movie, and when we came out, it was completely fogged in. So that's how quickly things can change up there. But it came and went. The fog moved in and out. It was a little chilly up there, but they have a monument there that marks the North Cape, and just an interesting place to walk around and explore.
Did they say the fog is typical?
It is.
Yeah.
They say if you don't like the weather, don't worry. Wait 10 minutes. It will change. And it pretty much did. We went from bright sun to cloudy fog to then sun again. And that's pretty typical.
Okay. Awesome. And what was your next port of call?
We then had, I think, 1 sea day, and then we're making our way back south, and we went into different areas. The first stop was Trondheim, which is more of a coastal city. So again, a little bit different feel than being in the fjords. We didn't do an excursion there. We just walked into town there. We had attended on board on the sea day a presentation by the onboard specialist about the ports, and they talked about Trondheim, and there's a cathedral there. A lot of Viking history with the cathedral. St. Olaf's, I believe, is what it is. And so Obviously, a lot of people, and it was walkable. So we walked to the cathedral and spent some time walking around the town and, just enjoyed a slightly different experience than being at North Cape or in one of the fjords.
Did you find that most of these ports you hit up were very walkable, or did you have to were some of them where you had to book an excursion or you just couldn't do anything?
Yeah, some of them were pretty, you really needed to have an excursion, but most places we docked, there was a small town there and you could do some things on your own. Or even most of the ports, they have excursion people there, non-ship based people, but there are ways to do things on your own in most of these ports as well. And we did some of that, as well as some excursions from Princess.
Moving right along, what was up next?
The next port was Aalesund, which, again, in Aalesund, we actually took an excursion up to the Troll Road. Again, top of a mountain, big switchback road. There had been a rock slide earlier in the week, so they actually closed the last part of this tour. We couldn't actually drive the bus down this switchback road, but we were able to get to the top of the mountain, get an amazing view of all of that. It was a perfectly clear blue day, lots of waterfalls along the way up there, the big waterfall up at the top, just really picturesque, really nice place. Really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I didn't realize how many trolls I would see up in Norway. What was up next?
The next was probably my favorite port, and that is Olden. It's one of the more popular fjords cruise stops. Olden is the stop where you can go on the Briksdal Glacier, where you can go on an excursion to the glacier base and you can hike up there, or you can take these troll cars, which are motorized John Deere cars that hold 6 or 7 people, and they'll drive you up there, and then you do a little bit of a hike. We actually decided to do the Princess tour to the Briksdal Glacier because it left really early and therefore got back to the ship pretty early. And the thought there was, when we got back to the ship, the second big thing to do in Olden is the Loen Skylift. It's the really steep cable car that takes you up to the top of this mountain where there's absolutely beautiful views. And I really wanted to try to do both in the same day. The only way I could find to do that was to do the Princess tour first thing in the morning, which actually worked out great because we got up to the glacier on the first run up and it was clear. Everything, the weather was pretty good. And we got back early enough to do a tour on our own. There was a small bus there. We paid for an excursion that took us on a bus over to the Skylift. We got to the top. We're able to hike around and enjoy the view up there and still make it back to the ship in plenty of time. So we got 2 full half-day excursions on that day, and they were both absolutely amazing and probably the highlight of the trip.
Awesome. Then you're starting to round the trip out. What was your last port of call?
Last port was Brussels, or Bruges, actually. And that's a port where you've got to do some planning. You arrive in the actual working commercial port of Bruges. So there's a shuttle bus that takes you from the ship out to the entrance terminal of the port, and that's where they have taxis. And if you want to do Bruges on your own, you can hire a taxi there, and they will come and pick you up and bring you back as well. And that's what we had done. We had reserved a taxi, and they picked us up, brought us into town. We did Bruges on our own, walked around the town, enjoyed that, and then were able to get back to the ship in plenty of time to sail.
You make your way back to Southampton. How was your debark process? Debark
is just, after the pandemic especially, it's really, really fast and easy. We elected for a later disembarkation because our flight out of Heathrow wasn't leaving until about 5 o'clock in the evening. So we had arranged transportation because we had a group of 7 of us. So we were able to all get into a van that took us straight to the airport. But we stayed on board towards the end, which was good. By the time we got into the terminal, most of the people had already disembarked and were on their way. One little hiccup there. One of my wife's bags was not in the correct space. They give you these luggage tags when you put your bags out the last night of the cruise. And when you go into the terminal, they're all supposed to be in one area. But one of her bags, one of our numerous amount of her bags, most of them were in the right spot, but one went awry. I think the tag had fallen off. So it took us a little while to figure out where it was. But they were very helpful in the terminal to help us find it. And I guess it was a little hiccup, but nothing that was really too bad to deal with.
Do you have any tips to offer anyone who may be considering doing one of these Northern Europe, land of the midnight sun itineraries?
My number one thing is do it. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, I expected, in this age of YouTube, we get to watch a lot of these places before we go there. And this is truly 100% one destination that TV does not do it justice. Mm-hmm. It is absolutely stunning. It's beautiful. Be prepared. It's a different kind of cruise. It's not a hot weather, although a lot of the days we were there when the sun was out, it was very warm and comfortable. You've got to, it's a bit like Alaska. You got to be prepared for just about any kind of weather, layer up. But if you're into nature, waterfalls, beautiful, amazing scenery, don't hesitate. Definitely do it.
Do you have any tips for anyone sailing Sky Princess? Because it doesn't always sail in Europe. It also splits time in Florida.
Yes, it's doing the Caribbean for the winter season. Again, we've been on Sky several times. We happen to have the Commodore. Nick Nash was our cool captain during this cruise. I'm guessing if he's on now, by the time he comes back to Fort Lauderdale, probably be a different captain. But staff has always been good. We've had amazing experiences in the dining room. I will say that the staff at Good Spirits Bar, which a lot of people are there pretty regularly. This was one of the best teams we've ever seen there. They do these fun shows to get people interested. That team was just phenomenal. We're just super, super happy we're doing the Sky not till next year. We have another cruise booked on the Sky already. So definitely recommend it.
Do you do a lot of Princess cruises out of California or Seattle? I know they're kind of limited over there.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we're doing a California coastal in November. We do quick getaways out of the West Coast. Again, different kind of cruise. It's Pacific Coast, but a lot to Mexico and the California coastal cities, which we love as well. And we're doing that on the Ruby, which is one of our other favorite ships. We happened to be on the Ruby. Well, we embarked the Ruby in San Francisco, and we were on that cruise that left 3 days late and did an abbreviated Alaska trip. So we love to sail from San Francisco because it's basically our hometown, and we can get there really easily. And love that as well.
Yeah, doing a California coastal sailing as a California resident, is that like, what do you do when you actually get off the ship and maybe go find a cool little place to eat, or do you experience things you've never seen before as long as you've lived in California? Or
yeah, absolutely. I talk to British folks all the time that do the British Isles cruises, and they say, yeah, I mean, we go places where we're familiar, but we always seem to find something different. And a lot of the ports, we'll get off and we'll do that. We'll go find something to eat, or we'll go do something that we've never done. Santa Barbara, for example, we went up to Solvang, the wine country area, on one of those trips because we'd never been there. When we come into LA, sometimes in LA, it's usually very nice weather. Sometimes we just go to the sanctuary on board, the adults only area, and get a chair for the day and just sit and relax, read a book. So we don't always get off in the ports that we've been to quite often. Sometimes we enjoy the quiet of the ship while everyone else is off. I
might know the answer to this next question, but I'm going to ask you anyways. Your biggest highlight of this cruise? Oh, I think for me, it's so hard to choose because there were so many that were amazing. But the best thing for me was Olden. First of all, to have the weather to be able to do the sky lift in the afternoon
and the Brickstell Glacier in the morning. That was probably my biggest reason for wanting to take this trip. That and North Cape. North Cape was also pretty amazing, way up north. But Olden was definitely, and the ability to get both of those excursions in and have the weather be good. We feel like we got very lucky, and we're very happy for that.
In closing here, your final thoughts of Sky Princess.
One of our favorites by far. We have sailed on, I believe, every one of the Royal class at this point. Several on Regal, several on Sky. Sky is definitely one of our favorites.
We've been talking with Jeff about his 14-night cruise aboard Sky Princess in Northern Europe, the land of the midnight sun. Jeff, thank you so much for sharing your vacation with us. I sure appreciate you.
Thanks, Doug, and thanks for what you do. We enjoy you every night on YouTube, and I love your coverage of everything, and just wanted to say thank you as well.
All right, Dougie, let's see what we got for you, buddy. Cruise Radio is produced at the tripinsurance.com studios in Jacksonville, Florida. Get cruise news, ship reviews, and money-saving tips every Thursday on Cruise Radio. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the show. If you want to help spread the word, give Cruise Radio a 5-star review. Find Cruise Radio where you listen to your favorite podcast or online at cruiseradio.net. I'm your announcer,